Hey guys, Kimmy here. Hope you're having a great 2022. So I've noticed something very interesting, and I'm pretty sure quite a few people might notice the same things at this point. It deserves to be said because it's something a lot of people have been afraid to say for a while, both on, I would say, the left and right. I think it is safe to say that no one really supports BLM anymore. And I want to just kind of break down, at least from where I stand, the reasons why. There is a lot of reasons. If you have your personal observation, feel free to drop it in the comments below. But here's the first one. BLM has been used as a shield, a moral shield, for a lot of folks who don't really care about issues of social justice, at least in a real sense. And let me break it down like this. Ayo Tillett Wright is a figure that is quite prominent in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case trial, and is kind of notorious, I believe, for calling the police, or at least being on the side of Amber Heard during what a lot of people suspect was kind of a call that yielded no real evidence of abuse, and it was more of one of those fake alarms were rung. And something that I noticed, I was like, I'm not really familiar with this person, but I'm curious to see how they feel, if they're kind of recanting on their position as someone who called the cops on what is likely to be a moot call. What are they saying about this? Like, what is their position? What does their Instagram page look like? I'm sorry, I get a bit nosy. And the first things that you find on, and I don't know this person, I'm not really saying this to shade, I'm just painting this as a basic picture. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of a case study that represents what I feel like are a lot of people who have enjoyed just having that moral shield raised up when you're just like BLM. But pulling up Ayo's Instagram, and it's just story, man. Black Lives Matter is in the stories, and the only highlighted stories they have are BLM. The irony being that you're supporting this organization that allegedly is trying to abolish the police, and yet here you are possibly standing behind you ruining someone's life by calling the police. I rest my case, Your Honor. Anyway, I think the first thing that really frustrates a lot of people is how they notice their friends become like moral police over what you stand for. If you're posting the black square, are you posting about BLM? Are you saying their names? It turned into this neighbor against neighbor thing so quickly that a lot of people lost friends and family and couldn't talk for these past however many years. I wouldn't say it's not just COVID. I know in my case, I was really devastated by the shooting of Philando Castillo. I still remember how sad 2016 was for me. It was a terrible year. But, I sort of became that police in a way, where I was like, frustrated with my fellow church congregants as to why they weren't as incensed as I was, and how evil of the pastors to not confront this issue the way I want them to. But anyway, so that's sort of the first point, is the moral shield. And now people are realizing, second point, is that despite all that fervor and all that fury, we have a lack of statistics to back up the reasons behind BLM, just period. It made it seem like it was this wave of murders of Black Americans at the hands of the police. However, the statistics just do not match up to that foundation that they're laying. And I just read this article in Barry Weiss's Substack, op-ed by Zach Kriegman, and he was working for Reuters. I believe that's how you pronounce it, and was fired for posting about, or not even just posting, but sharing information, I believe, within his company about how the statistics for BLM are kind of upside down. Not only that, but because they're upside down, they led to a rise in crime and therefore more killings of Black people. And so his passion was to just correct the data and get the truth out there. Americans, even though it's in the UK, Americans do still consume Reuters info and news. So he shared that, and I will put up some of the links or screenshots of the statistics if I can. According to calculations based on FBI data, Black Americans account for 37% of those who murder police officers and 34% of the unarmed suspects killed by police. Meanwhile, whites make up 42.7% of cop killers and 42% of the unarmed suspects shot by police, meaning whites are killed by police at a 7% rate higher than blacks. If you broaden the analysis to include armed suspects, the gap is even wider, with whites shot at 70% higher rate than blacks. Other experts in the field concur that in relation to the number of police officers murdered, whites are shot disproportionately. So the statistics don't match up, and people have been noticing that for a while, but whenever you try to bring up the whole, I think the phrase Black Lives Matter is important, however, I have an issue with the statistics being off. The third thing is people's livelihood is at stake. People can lose their jobs, and that's what happened to the same person that I just read, Zach Kriegman. He was fired from Reuters? He was fired. And another reason, at first, the first kind of point that I made was the moral shield, but then, it's not just alienating people from their friends and loved ones, but the fact that after all of that, you can still try to bring the truth to the table and have an honest conversation and get fired, even though what you're saying is rooted and grounded in data. And mind you, as in the case of Zach Kriegman, he was concerned that this is causing a rise in murders and deaths of Black people even more with the skewed statistics. His passion was for protecting and fighting for the rights and the lives of Black people, kind of the heart of Black Lives Matter, right? But he was fired because it wasn't matching the narrative. And so we have this stress of everyone has to be on the same page for this false narrative, and people are getting tired of that, and it's building a resentment, and people don't like to hold on to that resentment. It doesn't produce anything good. You have rarely and narrowly heard of any really effective solutions put forth by BLM, which kind of brings this to a whole wrap. So a few days ago, a friend of mine, Amir Odom, posted this quite interesting post on Instagram from I think it was The Neighborhood. I'm not sure what account it is. I will throw a screenshot up. And it was Candace Owens. It was a post about Candace Owens showing up to the home of Patrisse Cullors, basically asking for questions. And what you have is Candace filming her perspective on one end, and then Patrisse live streaming on the other end. And the reason Candace was showing up was because she wanted to ask questions about the $6 million mansion purchased by the BLM organization. And I think this is where people are really fed up. People put up with the divisiveness that was caused by BLM. People put up with the cancellations, the firings, the untruths, the protests that were going out of hand. People put up with that. And I think a lot of people, both left, right, Black and white, to an extent were like, look, we can endure this, hopefully, because it will bring about change. And we are donating and we are protesting and we are listening to the voice of the protesters because we believe that change will be made. However, after all of that, people don't know where the money is going, and people are absolutely tired of that. And I'll throw up some of the comments from this Neighborhood post. The whole thing's weird because Patrisse is crying and she's quick to defend and talk about how she feels like her safety is at risk, but she hasn't confronted the issue of where the funds are going. And this has people completely done with this. We kind of have a knife to our throat socially as to whether we support your organization or not, and your organization is not doing anything. The families of the people who have passed away or who have suffered at the hands of police who are overreacting and brutalizing the people they encounter, those families, they are pushing back and saying we're not really receiving the help we thought we were going to receive. And a lot of people donated. A lot of people were passionate. A lot of people wanted to help in ways, in any way that they could. But unfortunately, those answers are not coming. So now people are like, look, I don't really vibe with Candace, but she's right. We want to know, where is the money going? And I really think it's at this point where it's like people are just looking for the new thing. Not necessarily the new thing, but people really do want to stand behind an effective social justice movement. And right now, Black Lives Matter is not that. I think people are really passionate for how can we find issues that are real and put our energy behind that. And, there's integrity in that organization. I think that's kind of the next question. I think for a lot of people, they're like, yeah, okay, enough division, enough confusions. We're just gonna move on, Patrice. We're done. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do feel free to subscribe if you want to hear more videos like this, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.